Welcome back. Mr. Okoi Obono Obla, Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution, is still with us in the studio. Before we went on break, we were talking about how it's the President's prerogative, whether or not, beg your pardon, the Chief Justice, the acting Chief Justice can sit on his own matter by, when he convenes a meeting of the National Judicial Council. Do you want to finish your point quickly on that?
Yes, that is one of the lacunae we see in our Constitution. I am of the view that the NJC should also be made of people from other disciplines or professions or from the civil society. It should not be judges alone. That is, it came into for the anomaly, comes into for. For instance, if somebody makes a complaint against the Chief Justice of Nigeria to the NJC that is supposed to discipline judges, and the Chief Justice of Nigeria is the chairman of NJC. That is it. So that is an anomaly which has to be corrected. Because how can you be a judge in your own cause? Judges hearing disciplinary cases against their fellow judges. And that is why sometimes you see a lot of inconsistency and a lot of trying to protect some people.
I'm wondering, you painted another scenario where the NJC, where if the Chief Judge is the chairman of the NJC, it could be a bit problematic.
Yes.
But then that's how it's been designed, that the Chief Judge be the chairman. Yes. People wonder how, in this particular matter, he's not been accused of anything. It's just that right now, it would seem that there could be a vacuum if the NJC does not re-recommend him, as it were. Can he rightfully sit as, is he acting chairman of the NJC as well?
What I saw in the correspondence, which I was talking about, from the secretary of NJC, he said he was chairman of NJC. So I'll take it as chairman of NJC. A correspondence from the Supreme Court to my office over a letter we wrote concerning some judges.
Well, that has not been argued out. A lot of lawyers would believe that in a case where you have an acting chairman, you cannot have an acting deputy chairman, for
that
instance.
That is what I saw. So I don't think if he is acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, he may say he's also acting chairman of NJC.
Does that not present some sort of problems for us?
To me, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Now, you've listened to
the two contrasting views.
Yes, you have.
Akim Bode,
yes,
and Professor Sage.
Yes.
Yes, I will agree with Sage, and you can ask me why.
It's natural that you will
not because he's in government like myself. Because as a student of law, of jurisprudence, and I also observe, what happened in other jurisdictions. For instance, the United States, that is a bastion of constitutional democracy. If you look at the Nigerian Constitution, it's modeled after the American Constitution. We have presidential system of government in America. We have presidential system of government in Nigeria. And the methods of appointment of Chief Justice of the United States is the same as the procedure for appointment of Chief Justice of Nigeria. In 2005, the then President George Bush appointed somebody outside the Supreme Court as Chief Justice of the United States of America, the current Chief Justice, John Glover Roberts. He was not in the American Supreme Court. That's what Professor Sage is saying, that NJC have monopolized the appointment of judges into the Court of Appeal and into the Supreme Court of Nigeria. It must not necessarily be judges. The Constitution did not say, let me land, ma'am. The Constitution did not say that you must be a judge to be appointed into the Court of Appeal. You must be a judge to be appointed into the Supreme Court. You must be a judge to be appointed Chief Justice of Nigeria. But the NJC has made it so for the past 30 years or so. But in this country, let me give you a precedent. In 1973, Justice Taslim, Olawale Taslim Elias, he was Attorney General of the Federation and Federal Commissioner for Justice under the regime of General Yakubu Gowon, a renowned academic who was also Attorney General of the Federation from 1959 to 1966. Then he was reappointed again by Gowon after the military takeover. He was appointed Chief Justice of Nigeria. He was not in the Supreme Court. Let me give you an example.
Mr. Obla, I do not have a problem with the examples that you're setting. Is the president,
that's what Sergey is saying,
or is the presidency kicking against the method of appointment, by the NJC in terms of how things
the president is not
gone?
kicking. Lawyers are very uncomfortable. That is why MBA, now, presently, MBA had asked lawyers to apply to go into the Supreme Court.
Is this a protest appointment?
What I don't understand.
The president's move, making
I don't think so.
Is this a protest appointment against the NJC? Because
no, the presidency has not said so. I don't want to presume, or I don't want to speculate. I don't want to conjecture.
So. The special advisor to the president on matters against corruption has said so. And you say
I think it was his personal opinion.
You support him on that in that regard.
Was not expressed.
You talk about how the NJC has monopolized this particular appointment of. It would seem that there is some. There is a kick against tradition.
I will not ascribe what Professor Sergey was saying to the presidency. He is talking as an eminent professor of law, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and as in Nigeria.
But whether or not you like it, because he has the ears of the president, a lot of people might believe that perhaps that is what the president is thinking.
Well, I don't know. I would not want to speculate on what the president is thinking because I'm not in the president's mind.
Perhaps not, but then there's also Professor Oyebode who says that this is just a needless controversy.
Well, I don't agree with him, but I don't agree with Professor Akin Oyebode. I don't agree with him.
Why don't you agree with him? If you say that this is not a protest appointment,
if you listen to
and you say that this does not represent the stance of the presidency, what do you say to the, to those who think that this is absolutely needless?
Well, that is their opinion. Everybody has his opinion. I don't think there's any controversy. And then some people are just trying to generate a controversy over nothing. And it is dangerous for our country if we try to politicize the appointment to the office of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. As usual, everything in Nigeria, we want to read religious meaning, we want to read ethnic meanings, we must read sectional meanings.
But who is making us read big?
Well, Nigerians, our elites.
When we have in over 30 years, we have followed a particular tradition, we might not be comfortable, or the presidency might not be comfortable with it.
Life is not constant, my sister.
Perhaps not. And so when it begins to change, shouldn't we expect questions?
Well, I don't think life is not constant. We must change or know how to change in accordance with the prevailing times. You cannot talk about what happened 30 years ago or 20 years ago.
Mr. Obla,
sometimes things have to change.
I'm agreeing with you.
For the better.
I agree with you that life changes, and life has to be dynamic. But when it does, people have a right to ask questions.
Just like I was giving you...
And we have a right to answers, don't we?
Just like I was giving you an example. In 1973, when the federal government, went outside the Supreme Court to appoint Justice Tassim Elias. I want to give you an example, if you will just listen to me.
I'm asking.
I
have listened to you, Mr. Obla. I am simply asking whether or not that is what is going to happen in this scenario. Is the president kicking against the appointment by the CJA?
Let us be patient. The president will do the needful at the appropriate time.
For how much longer?
There is no vacuum. We have an acting Chief Justice of Nigeria.
For how much
and we
longer?
have had precedents in this country where the president of the Court of Appeal acted for 24 months and evidence did not fall. No person should intimidate or harass or enroll the president to exercise his discretion. He will exercise it at the appropriate time. And he has nothing against Justice Onogen. They are talking about where he comes from. In that same place where Justice Onogen comes from, the Chief of Naval Staff is from there. The head of service of the Federation is from there. Last week, the president appointed Auditor General of the Federation from there.
Would you say?
I am from there. The Minister of Niger Delta is from there. The Chairman of NDDC is from there.
Would you say?
So he has nothing personal against.
Would you say that the president is, handling the questions on this appointment, correctly?
Sure, to my mind, he has. And the president is a nationalist. You know what the president told me? The president told me, look, as a young captain, I fought in Ogoja. Ogoja is part of Cross River State. I trekked from Ogoja to Ajaso. Ajaso is the boundary between Nigeria and Cameroon Road. So the president is a nationalist. He knows all parts of the country. He is not against Justice Onogen whatsoever. He has nothing against him. He should even be happier with Justice Onogen. Can I tell you why? And the president said it in the fora that it is not where you come from. That when he went to the Supreme Court in 2007, Justice Onogen was one of the 3 justices that wrote a dissenting judgment And that, look, yes, and nobody from his part of the country wrote a deciding judgment. The president said it.
Well,
it is not where somebody comes from.
We have to go now. We've been speaking with Okoi Obono Obla, who is the Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution in the Ministry, in the Federal Ministry of Justice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ma.